There are big managements and there are independent managers. There are managers in the big organizations. I don't know if I'm permitted to name a Columbia Artist Management or Hurock, which now has been sold 3 times. All the people there work in the legacy of Saul Hurock. Never met him. I was just there today, just for my own satisfaction. There's only one person there that handles some group attractions. I asked some of the girls there today, in the tradition of Saul Hurock, any of you know him or knew him? They looked coldly at me. I wasn't challenging them. They could benefit maybe if they'd want to speak, as we did. You saw how many people were gathered around me and all of that, only for them to no, because they have such a false sense of pretense about themselves. Has nothing to do with the artist. So if they or any of the big managements represent in just instrumental alone maybe 38 pianists and maybe 40 some odd pianists, not to mention violins, how can any other than an organization have it on a menu? But it takes a lot of, it's like crochet work. But people buy because it's safe out of their own ignorance. So they have to buy from a big store. Then they're safe with their board. So you have all these political layers, and for some very talented people, they can't get through because the taste generally of the independent managers is overshadowed by the big stores. You see that today. And people just walk by the independents and they look pathetically. I mean, I sit there because I'm just interested in a barometer. I'm not paid by anybody. It's all my money. But I want to see the progression while I'm still alive as to how hopefully we could get, again, even worldwide, musical education in the starting of school. Because with all these fancy formulas they have of the word marketing, oh, we'll get audience with proper marketing if we do this. Empty people. If I was a farmer and I want to harvest in the fall after summer, God or whomever teaches us you plant the seeds before. Then you have the harvest. If we want audiences of tomorrow for any level of music, we have to plant the seeds in the elementary schools to children. They don't have the taste because the appetite, the palate has been educated. But where we are now is even their parents of today are uneducated. So they don't know who to vote for. They'll say, yes, this state or this country should give money for our children. We don't have that, almost globally.
That's very true.
And that to me is serious. I don't want to make glamour out of reality. That's not going to sell tickets.
So how do you feel? I asked you this earlier. When you come here, what is your objective? Like, you try to make connections with the people, or you just wanted to see what's going on?
I do both. Both. I don't even bring any on my list that are classical instrumentalists, though they're fantastic. Why? Because, again, with nature, yes, if the salmon have to come up the river, there are too many salmon. It's a traffic jam. They cannot possibly get there. There are too many very talented people. The amount of concerts available by presenters have shrunk, so there are so many less concerts. They're lucky if they played 2 or 3 concerts in a year, or played in somebody's fancy house, and then they're asked to please enter through the kitchen. And then they have cocktails there, and the kids come in, oh, we played in so-and-so's house, and they're very happy. Well, they're happy for the moment, but that's not the solution. You cannot do it unless you plant the seed. No seed, no harvest. Period.
So what are you going to say to people who graduate from Juilliard every year, top-notch players? How can they make a living? The musician student.
What makes you think they're supposed to make a living? They think they will. No. I call all these people in Juilliard, they're professors. I said, you see, be ashamed of yourselves. Why? Because I said, you know, you're like the Pied Piper leading them to the cliff. You're safe. They are even warned. Each has their own aspiration because they played and were taught by a famous name, you in Juilliard, or you in Curtis, or you at Eastman, or you in Bloomington. But each of those teachers, Bloomington has about 15 professors of piano. Each of those professors have a favorite student, so they set up a network of calling a colleague who's a professor, take my student, and I'll play in your university as a guest, and you'll play. So then there's another exchange going on, which is political, of known people for low fees. So they're taking the bowl of rice away from the young people even. That's how tight the competition exists now. And these kids are being led by the Pied Piper to the cliff. But at least warn them. No. So you say how they can survive? One assumes people survive. They don't.